Are you like I was, just another gamer who thinks recoil control is impossible?
What? Did we just become best friends?
Yup!
Do you want to go do karate in the garage?
Yup!
Welcome to Some Dad Gaming. Your time is valuable, so let's get into it. You'll get called a cheater in no time, with 3 settings and 3 steps. Field of view, vertical ADS sense, and dead zone. But don't worry, there's a process, we gotta trust it. But there's this guy actually, who said that it was lame that I used the 5.56 to show off my recoil control in my last video. This video actually, because it's a laser beam regardless of what settings you use. Unfortunately for him, the video had nothing to do with recoil control. So instead, we're gonna use the AK-74 with no attachments. And since your dad never gave you any inspirational advice, I believe in you. And this can be used in many other shooting games. Now step 1 is easy. Change these 3 settings. Increase your field of view to the max. Then change your right stick dead zone by putting the minimum to 0, then putting your maximum to 100. Bro, I can literally hear your thoughts about stick drift already. Chill out. Then lower your vertical aim sense to half of your horizontal sense. Then lower your ADS sense to half of your vertical sense. For example, let's say your horizontal sense is 1.5. Then lower your vertical sense to 0.75. Then put your ADS sense to 0.5. But if you're playing a different shooting game, put your vertical sense to 50% of your aim sense, then your ADS sense 50% of your vertical sense. You can't make $1 without making sense. Or lower if you need to. And changing these settings will help us on step 2, building muscle memory. So on the right stick, pull down or in the opposite direction of the recoil pattern, just slightly. Not too much, just slightly. Just remember, different weapons may have different recoil patterns and may require more or less input depending on the weapon you choose, or whatever attachments you have. Side note, the sensitivity of your dead zones will affect this, but don't worry, I got you. You can also use the snapping technique. This is when you put your crosshair on the enemy, ADS, and immediately start firing while pulling down on the stick. Return to hip fire aim, and then move your crosshair to the next enemy, ADS, and immediately start firing while pulling down on the stick. This is almost like flicking for mouse and keyboard players, so snap is very important for controller players. It is a very useful technique that does require practice timing, and I highly recommend it. But obviously, we don't want to keep these settings like this forever, which is where step 3 makes it all come together, finding the sweet spot. Start by decreasing your field of view by 5% or until that blurry blob finally has legs and arms. Then adjust the right stick dead zone. See, I got you. And in order to help us find what works best for you, go to your dead zone testing. Bonus tip, if you have risers and precision rings, leave them on. Now pull down on the stick just slightly, a couple of times like you would to control your recoil. And let's say it lands close to around 10% each time. Then move your stick all the way side to side a couple of times also. Let's say it lands to around 99% each time. Now put your minimum to 10% and put your max to 99%. There. That was scary, wasn't it? But don't worry, I'm right here with you. Just remember, the lower the max, the more sensitive. The higher the max, the less sensitive. And the lower the minimum, the more sensitive. The higher the minimum, the less sensitive. You want as much control on your right stick as you can. But too high will increase delay, and too low will feel too sensitive. Kinda like your ex-girlfriend. Fuck that bitch. Now go to a private match or a firing range. Find an object like this can. Put your crosshair on it and start spinning in a circle, with about half of the input that you normally use. If your crosshair doesn't land on or near the can while spinning in a 360, adjust your dead zone by 1% up and down until you at least get close. And always keep this in mind and check this, especially with updates, patch notes, and how high your ping is. But if you're still having trouble, I got you. Here's a secret dad tip. Adjust your input response curve. But if your game doesn't have an adjustable input response curve like Battlefield 2042, look for something called axial dead zone or acceleration, and keep adjusting and spinning until you make a perfect line around you. Unless you're drunk, then make 3 perfect lines. Then increase your vertical aim sense by 0.1 a day, or even a week if you're a beginner, or however much time you need. All of this will help us improve muscle memory as we progress and gradually improve control every week, or even by the day, you fucking pro. And keep adjusting these 3 settings for however long you need, or until it feels comfortable, and you find that sweet spot. Once you do this, you'll be beaming in no time, I guarantee it. Now remember, I do not promise 0 recoil, because it's called recoil control. This is meant to help control the recoil, not eliminate it. Because no matter what settings guide video you watch, there will always be a little horizontal and vertical recoil. And this is how you can tell some of your favorite streamers are full of shit. Now remember, there are many other variables, such as strafing, aiming, movement, map knowledge, other controller settings, and weapon attachments. Learning these things can help us find new peaks in our gaming performance, regardless of skill, status, or schedule. And if you're still struggling, especially with opponents at longer ranges, throw some attachments on that bad boy like this. There's always room to grow, and I believe in you. Look at you, you fucking goat. Now, I'm not the best. I'm not a pro. I'm just another gamer who thought recoil control was impossible. So if you think recoil control is impossible like I did, try this. And pass this on to that friend who also struggles. And if you're shooting like this now, and you found any value or entertainment in this video, then you know what to do. My final dad tip, if you think someone's cheating, unless it's blatant, it's always 50-50. They're probably cheating or just better than you. So don't let it bother you. Even pros like Nadeshot and Scump know how bad the cheating problem is. Just hit report and move on. Don't be a Lance Armstrong or a Dr. Lupo simp. It's just a button, so who cares? Until we meet again, have a good one, gamer family.